Hello, friends. It's Aunt Nikki of Your Story Hour. How are you guys doing today? I hope you're doing well. Well, it's time to read another chapter in Loony Coon by Sam Campbell. Let's see what those raccoons are up to. Chapter 11, Private Enemy Number 1. Andrea and her family were not the only raccoons who came to our island as the summer advanced. Each night the number increased. Some of them we knew from previous years and could identify by the marking or mannerisms. It was always a thrilling moment when one of our friends returned. "Sam, look who's here," Ginny called late one night as she took a last look at the feeding area before turning off the floodlight. "Another wanderer returned?" I asked, coming beside her to look out the window. "It's Big Boy, and he's positively enormous." "The largest of them all," I said. "In fact, he's the largest raccoon I have ever known, and one of the handsomest. His hair looks as if he made regular trips to the beauty parlor. But look at Loony Coon." Our favorite little cub was advancing towards the huge coon belligerently. They were about as evenly matched as a chipmunk ready to attack a bear. But Loony Coon meant business, and he had the support of the rest of his family. With a snarl and a snap, he flew at Big Boy, and after him came his 4 brothers and sisters in one wild concentrated charge. Big Boy vanished into the brush as if a wind had blown him away. "Why would he run?" Ginny asked. "He could swallow one of them with a single gulp." "Another mystery in raccoonology," I commented. "Big Boy is a male. Like the male bear, the daddy raccoon is not welcome around youngsters. Sometimes they kill and eat their own offspring. Just why he runs away from the little ones, I don't know. Maybe it's because Andrea is so close at hand. Look, here he comes again." Longing for the food which was there in such tempting abundance, Big Boy came peeking out from under a balsam tree. He eyed the cubs, who greeted him with a growl. Then, a step at a time, he began edging towards a dish. He never reached it. This time it was Andrea who took out after him, and all the cubs followed. With a snarl she charged, and he promptly took to flight. A long chase followed. We could hear them going through the brush, Andrea snarling, the cubs making a peculiar little whining noise. Big Boy needed all his breath to get away. "Why is she so mean to him?" Ginny asked in sympathy. "There's plenty of food for all. It wouldn't hurt Andrea to let him have a little." "I think I know," I replied. "From the way she treats him, Big Boy must be Andrea's husband." "Is that so?" Ginny challenged. "Is that the way wives are supposed to treat husbands?" She looked at me as if I might be the next one chased through the underbrush. Here's a picture. See the raccoons around the dish. Now, don't jump to conclusions," I protested. "I mean only raccoon husbands. At certain times they're just about as welcome as a calamity. You noticed that Andrea didn't let any of the adult coons come near her young. But it's only Big Boy whom she treats so savagely. It's pretty good evidence that he's the father." After a while, Andrea and her tribe returned from the chase and monopolized all the feeding pans. Big Boy came close enough to peer out from the brush, but he didn't attempt to join the dinner party. "Andrea, shame on you," scolded Ginny. "Didn't you promise to love, honor, and obey your husband? Or at least to love and honor? Let him have some food." But Andrea just looked daggers at Big Boy and bared her teeth to show him what would happen if he came closer. "If raccoons have a doghouse, he's certainly in it," I concluded. In the middle of the night, I heard a noise at the feeding pans. I slipped into a robe and went to the window where I could see what was going on. There was Big Boy eating his fill, with no competition whatsoever. Andrea and her circus had gone home. Another exciting evening was when a second family of raccoons came to the island. "It's Lady!" cried Ginny joyously. "Lady's come back, and she has a family of 3. I felt like giving a cheer. Lady had come to us now for 3 years. She was quite different from Andrea in appearance and manners. "See," Ginny enthused. "No one could mistake that very black coat and the way she walks with such dignity and grace. Yes, it's Lady." But if we welcomed her, Andrea did not. There was a brief scuffle, in which Andrea learned that Lady had no notion of retreating. Loony Coon advanced towards one of the new youngsters, as if he meant to do battle, but he got his face slapped, too. Then Lady and her family took one feeding pan, while Andrea and company took another, and everyone was happy. Other raccoon families joined the nightly gathering. How word gets about among those forest creatures, no one can say, but certainly something, some way, was advertising the fact that there was good food and good service for coons on Campbell's Island. One evening after the mob had arrived, Ginny stood at our doorway counting them. "If they'd only stand still for a moment, I could do this more accurately," she said. "There are 18 right here at the step. Here comes 3 more out of the brush, that's 21. There are 2 more, 23, and 2 coming down a tree. Sam, come and see this spectacle. We have 25 raccoons here at one time." I went to her and looked out. For the moment, an armistice was declared in the raccoon ranks, and they all stood still looking up at us. We had not yet placed food out for them, and they were asking for it. "Anyone who hasn't seen 25 raccoons at one time has missed something," I said. 25 pairs of eyes looking at us, 25 noses all pointed at the same angle, 25 masked faces. Surely this is a sight. I withheld their food purposefully until I could record this occasion with my camera. When at last dinner was placed before them, the armistice was off. Squabbling broke out all over the area. Their savage snarls sounded as if they were tearing one another to pieces. However, no one gets hurt in these brawls, and in the end each gets his share of food. Still later this same evening, the 26th raccoon joined the parade. It was the one we had named Blondie because of his very light-colored fur. We had been watching anxiously for Blondie. A year before he was our favorite cub, having the same temperament as Loony Coon. We were much attached to him and wondered why he had not returned. Ginny and I were in another part of the house when Blondie announced his arrival. He always has had the cutest way of pulling our screen door to pieces. In the first season we had Blondie, I spent half my time repairing that door. Hence, when we heard the familiar ripping of screen and splintering of wood, we went on the run. "Blondie!" we both cried at once. "You have come back to us!" We opened the door and Blondie came in. He rose on his hind feet and reached up to us just as he had when he was a cub. Then Ginny and I saw something that wiped the smiles off our faces. Blondie had lost half of his left front leg, and a pitiful little stub extended towards us. "Blondie!" Ginny said, much distressed. "Blondie, how did that happen?" "A steel trap," I declared. "Blondie, old pal, did you get caught in one of those awful things?" The answer was obvious. His condition was testimony to the cruelty involved in this way of capturing animals. His wound was healed now. Doubtless during a warm spell in the winter he had awakened, gone wandering in search of food, and fallen victim to the merciless steel jaws which trappers place about the forest. Then, following long hours of indescribable suffering before his leg broke off, or perhaps he chewed it off with his own teeth, and he hobbled away. Ginny could not restrain her tears. "When will people stop torturing creatures like that?" she asked. Someday when we learn that we harm ourselves most when we are cruel to others, I answered sadly. It's an old, old problem. Blondie is only one of millions to suffer that way. Someday men's spiritual growth will reach the point of discarding such methods, I feel sure. But not soon. If Blondie knew that human hands set the trap that crippled him, he did not hold it against us. He was friendlier than ever. We went out and sat on the front steps to be with him. He crawled into our laps and searched in our pockets for especially tasty bites of food, just as he had a year before. He was so happy that our sorrow vanished. We noted that seldom did any of the other coons quarrel with him. Whether this was consideration for his handicap or respect for his prowess, we do not know. One day, the Eck family came to the island in great excitement. Sonia started trying to tell us a story about something or other before the boat touched the land. "Oh, guess what happened? Guess what happened?" she cried, running to us as soon as she got ashore. Her parents followed, no less excited than she. "My goodness, what has happened?" Ginny asked as we went to meet our guests. "It must be something wonderful." "Oh, it is wonderful," cried Sonia, rushing into her arms. "Shall I tell them, Mother?" "Well, someone tell us," I exclaimed. "We're bursting with curiosity." "They came," Sonia cried. "They came right to our cabin, and we had them all to ourselves." "That's right," Dick Eck said. "They came to us all right." "Who came?" I asked, puzzled. "Why, the raccoons," said Sonia. "Yes, to be sure," Dorothy said. "Raccoons are the only animals in the world right now. You should know who came without asking." "Was it our Andrea and her cubs?" asked Ginny, laughing and hugging the thrilled Sonia. "Yes," said the child, giggling with delight. "Loony Coon was there. We knew him at once with his floppy ear and white streak on his head." "Yes, he was the scoundrel who did it," Dick put in. "Did what?" "Why, let me tell this part," Dorothy said with a crooked smile. "You know Dick, like most husbands, likes apple pie. It's a passion of his. He would eat apple pie 3 times a day if he had the chance. Well, I made him an apple pie." She paused and looked at the other two who were holding back laughter. "I made it extra thick the way he likes it. It was near dinner time when the pie was finished, and since he likes his pie cold, I put it on the back porch railing to cool." "May I tell the next part?" Dick broke in. "I'm the one who saw it. I heard a noise on the back porch and looked out to see a raccoon up on the railing, just approaching that pie." He was interrupted by a flow of giggles from Sonia. "I moved fast, but not fast enough. The coon stepped right into the pie, and both he and it went in a tumble to the porch floor." "Poor Loony Coon," Sonia said. "Poor Loony Coon? How about my pie?" her father asked. "And how about all my hard work?" Dorothy sought sympathy too. "Poor Loony Coon," repeated Sonia. "It got all over him." "We all rushed to the door," Dorothy said. Oh, what a mess! The pie fell upside down right on top of Loony Coon. It smeared him and splattered all over the porch. "Mother should have baked 2 pies," Sonia declared, her eyes dancing. "One for you?" I asked. "One for your father?" I asked. "No, both for the raccoons," the child laughed. "They all came and there wasn't enough." "Next time I'll do better," Dorothy grumbled. "Of course I haven't a thing else to do but bake pies for raccoons." Finally, we learned the rest of the story. The raccoons had spent much of the evening with the X and had eaten not only the pie, but every other bit of sweet in the house. "That gives us some ideas of how far raccoons travel," I remarked. "The shortest route to your cabin must be at least 2 miles. It seems a long way for those little animals to go, and yet I know them to cover even greater distances." "But Mr. Campbell," said Sonia, sobering, There were only 4 of the little ones. We looked for the other 2 all over and couldn't find them." Jenny looked distressed. "Could it be the owl?" Dorothy asked. I nodded reluctantly. "There are other enemies who might kill young raccoons," I said, "but we know the owl is in this area, and we know he has definitely spotted this family. It is characteristic of the bird to concentrate his hunting that way, even until he has done away with them all." "Something must be done," Jenny declared determinedly. "Why, we can't idly watch Andrea's family disappear one by one. Let's do something about it." But what we could do was still a question. Come back tomorrow for the next chapter and see you guys later.